Oh, what is up, everybody, and welcome to the NFL Showdown pre-lock show for Monday night. Well, it's not Showdown. It's Monday Night Football. It's a two-game slate. Again, crazy. We're being blessed by the NFL with two games on a Monday night again. A lot of times this year they're doing that. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on, but we got another one, so we get a full roster. So we're gonna talk you through position by position of these four teams. See where we stand, get you out of here. Got 43 minutes until this thing kicks off. We're driven by the questions in chat, so fire them up, get up in there, and we'll answer them all. Three-man booth today, but it is not the three men that were originally scheduled to be in the three-man booth, but we're here anyway. We made it, so Beer, we made it. Beer's here. He looked at the schedule. He found out he was on a show today, and he showed up. Beer, how you doing?
I mean, that's how you do a job, right? You know your schedule, and you show up for work on time, and here we are. So, and I see a question in the chat already. Could the RG crew defeat a middle school football team?
100%. Yes.
I don't know about you, Chop, but I'm running for about 500 yards against it. There's not a middle schooler alive that's going to tackle me.
I don't have a lot left in the tank, but I got enough to pound some middle school football. So I know I still got that forearm pad, man. I'll break it out. So
I'll be Derrick Henry stiff arming little kids out there.
I guarantee you nobody's running for more than 7 or 8 yards. Just put me at middle linebacker. I know my keys. I know my reads, Beer. They ain't running for nothing now. Now they might torch Dan Bach in the secondary. They might.
Bime for or Bobby Gomes in the secondary. We're good.
Yeah, it just all depends if we have to do the whole politically correct thing and play everybody like we got to find a spot for Dean out there.
No.
If we got to find a spot for Dean, we're
I got a spot for Dean, water boy.
Fair enough. Yeah, we kill that middle school. That's not even funny. But so that's the three-man. The third member here supposed to be Davis, but he's kind of a free spirit. He don't look at schedules, so he's good. We gave him the night off. We got TJ pulling double duty. TJ, how you doing, man?
Doing very well. Ready to break down the slate with you, gentlemen. I hand-built 40 lineups a few hours ago, all planning for Egbuka to be out. We now are expecting Egbuka to be in, and so I have some adjusting to do. I still don't think I'm going to get a ton of Egbuka tonight, but this basically just makes me want to get a lot less of the Tez Johnsons and the Sterling Shepherds that I had been.
So my advice to you, as somebody who's been here multiple times, lots of times, don't throw away those 40 lineups just yet. Because you could definitely get the Egbuka's not quite feeling it today. They're going to let him rest, and then he's out, and then everything is right back to normal for you. So don't chunk them already. But, yeah, that's some news I guess we're waiting on. This thing kicks off at 6 o'clock Central Time. That's 40 minutes away is the first game. Yeah, should be fun stuff here. So we're going to walk you through questions, get them all. We'll keep track of them all and answer them at some point throughout the show. So otherwise, we're going to go, position by position here in a minute. Let's see. We're already on week 7. I think this is the end of week 7. It was a fun week. Beer, your Green Bay Packers made a nice comeback yesterday, man.
Yeah, not as nice as Denver. I mean, the Giants, my goodness, they had that game sewed up. They even go down and score with 30 seconds left and end up losing. But yeah, Green Bay, it's been ugly. They get the win. You beat Jacoby Brissett. Not going to do a parade about it. They did what they needed to do. Wish the offense was playing a little bit better, but I'll take the dub. Your Cowboys certainly put it on. Washington and their skeleton crew. So your boys are looking good. And TJ's in Canada. I don't even know what team. The Argonauts, TJ, they win this week.
Growing up, I was really big Saskatchewan Roughriders fan. I had season tickets, but don't follow as much CFL as I had in the past. I am a Saints fan, though.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. Yeah, rough day for your Saints.
Yeah, you might as well just lose some games here, try to get you a QB, but I tell you what, watching those games yesterday afternoon, 4-game afternoon window, and watching that Green Bay game come down and watching that Denver game come down, that just makes you That's why football is the number one. I love basketball, and I'm not trying to be prisoner of the moment. And basketball is good, and we're going to get some baseball tonight. A trip to the World Series is on the line tonight. That's all good. But you watch like that last 5 minutes of Denver, and then that last 3 minutes of Green Bay, and they're both going on simultaneously, and you're trying to, that's what makes football so good, man. But so hopefully we got something good like that tonight. I got a feeling we got some stuff cooked up tonight, at least in one of these games. Both these games are good games. One of these games has the chance to be an offensive shootout. The other one's just going to be two really rock-solid teams going at it. So I think this is going to be a fun little slate here. Let's get it kicked off then. Why not, man?
Before we start, Dean's here, so we're gonna ask him. Dean, the question was posed: can Team RG beat a middle school team in football? And we were trying to decide what position, if any, that you would play on this team. So if you'd like to speak up for yourself, the floor is yours, sir. But Chop, let's continue with the football. You're right about yesterday. I mean, it was awesome. That I love the Red Zone channel, and you got everything going at the end, and Green Bay going for it on 4th down instead of kicking a field goal to tie, and ends up paying off. It's just we should have some fun tonight. I like these games.
Dean joining us in chat is like, I'm surprised he's able to have the time to pull away from licking the boss's bootstraps there, man, on Twitter, man, telling him how good the Orlando Gatson take is from July. Come on, Dean, man, give me a break. You ain't getting a raise, brother. You ain't getting a raise. Just let it out. Just let it be, man. But first game on the board here, we have, let's see, what's the Tampa game's first, 6-53. Beer, 6-53, man. The other one's 3-41. It's a 2-game slate. How much does that factor into your build?
I mean, it factors in a lot, and you're going to see it factor into ownership as well. But I'm a little surprised that the ownership on some of these Seattle-Houston guys are higher than I thought it would be. To me, I want to get as much exposure to this first game. One thing we can note is we have a nice gap here, which we always haven't had in these games. So it's really going to allow you to take in the first game. Maybe you do have some low-owned plays that hit. Maybe you have chalk that didn't. It's going to allow you to make some pivots in that last game when you have such a spread in the starting times here. But yeah, I mean, we'll go into quarterbacks. I mean, the two in this game obviously are the best two plays. And so I'd say you can't play the other two, but this game I'm expecting a ton of points, and obviously one of the biggest totals we've seen all season long. Ton of injuries on the Detroit side, especially in that secondary. You get Ibuka back, you get Evans back. Mayfield is right up there as an MVP candidate, and we know how good this Detroit team and this offense can be at home. So it just sets up to be I would be shocked if this thing was 13-10. I'll say that.
Yeah, that'd be shocked.
It can happen. Anything's possible in the NFL, but I think we get some fireworks in this one.
Yeah, and then on that same note that you just kind of mentioned, I was going to ask TJ, this is more like one of those, not quite the same, but one of those like Christmas, Thanksgiving Day slates where it's a game, and then you almost get the wrap of that first game, and then you get the second game, so you can actually fully sit down and redo your builds if you're losing. And I mean, how much does that factor into you?
Factors in quite a bit, especially when I'm like looking at some of these like punt plays that I would potentially be utilizing in that second game. Like, I'm with you guys. I am much more interested in this first one than the second one. I do think the field will be as well, but I'm just kind of going extra overweights and doing full game stacks all throughout my 20 entry max builds. And so I'm going way overweight on the first one, but I do think it impacts of like looking at guys like a Higgins and a Noel and a Schultz, and just thinking like, hey, if I got to come back on somebody, I'm a couple points down. Maybe I want to pick the lower owned option of this group, especially if somebody has a similar build and it looks like they're going to have a punt down there as well. Minor things like that, but in general, I don't think I'm going to have to deal with it as much as most because I'm going to be going so heavy on that first game. I'm not going to have much late swappability left.
Yeah, I got a feeling that's going to be a popular option right there. And so we've got the inactives out for the first game, and we kind of, I think Ibuka was touch and go all day. It looks like he's going to be active. Oh man, go to Beer, I just want to ask you, like, he's active, but like the whole week it was like, he's probably not going to play, and we really didn't expect him to. It's one of those soft tissue things, and it's not like, hey, it's a concussion, man. You're active, you're going to play, and you're full go. Like, this is a soft tissue. They could, act up during the game. He could just not be 100% already. Does that factor into the Egbuka thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this can go one of two ways. You're excited about potentially getting him lower owned than you would if he was just healthy all day. It's late news. Some people may not react. Some people have 40 lineups built already that, unlike TJ, they may not go back and change. So you may get him low owned. The other side of that is we may get him, well, he's on a snap count. He's only going to be when we get to the red zone. We're going to see how it goes. You never know, an in-game injury. So we don't play scared here. So I will tell you, I got about 32 lineups built. I have him in 8 of those. So I'm at 25%, which will be under the field, I would guess, when it's all said and done. So I want some exposure. I don't want to go crazy to it with him. You have the concerns, you have the worries. We also know the upsides there. And in this matchup, doesn't get much better than indoors against a secondary missing not one piece, Chop, not two. Dean starting at safety, Dan Buccs starting at corner. Like we want to attack this secondary. So there is upside there. I'll be under the field. I wouldn't fade him. I don't know that I would lock him. Wherever you want to land, match the field, under the field, above the field. That's the point. I'll be under the field.
Yeah, so that takes us into the QBs, and that's one thing I was going to mention. There's some injury concerns here for Detroit in their secondary, and that's one of the reasons why we're getting such a high total on this game, and one of the reasons why it's a very much a predicted shootout. It could be because you have Jared Goff at home. He's always good in the dome against a Tampa team that, if they have a weak spot on their defense, it's in the secondary. So quarterbacks, TJ, you got 4 of them to choose from. 2 of them seem like in a stratosphere that's way above the other 2. It's in a much lower total game. So you got your 40 lineups. How are you splitting up your quarterbacks?
So weirdly enough, we're projecting right now Baker Mayfield to kind of have similar ownership to CJ Stroud. I think Mayfield's going to be a little bit higher than that, potentially closer to Goff than he is Stroud and Darnold. But still, I'm just going overweight on that approach. It's like usually when people are heavy chalk, I either double down or I fade. And I'm going with a double down approach today. So I have a 20 entry max build with Goff in all 20. And then I have a 20 entry max build with Baker Mayfield in all 20. And so I was originally thinking after that, I was going to do maybe some 3 entry max with Darnold and Stroud, where they'll be even lower owned there than they are in larger field stuff. But now I'm kind of going through all of this stuff and adjusting my Egbuka to be in and things like that. And so I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get those 3 entry max in, those single entries with Darnold and Stroud. And so as it stands right now, 50% Goff, 50% Baker Mayfield.
Beer, is that a similar formula to what you like tonight? Just fade the second game and go all in on the first 2 quarterbacks?
I'm going to have a little bit of the second game, specifically CJ Stroud. His stacks are pretty easy to pull off. We have some injuries there as well. So you have some value in his wide receiver core that you can utilize. And, maybe this Detroit Tampa game is all about the running game, and we see a game where Gibbs and Montgomery go ham, and it's Rachaad White. And, some of the big pieces don't necessarily get there. The Evans, the Amon-Ra St. Browns. I'm not saying that happens. I'm telling the story of why a CJ Stroud lineup could do well. So, but the majority of my lineups are going to be Goff and Baker. I actually prefer Baker. Agree with TJ's point. I think it'd be higher owned than this. I would see him more like 30%. Not questioning our team here, but he is my favorite quarterback of the group. I think there's just as much, if not more, upside with Baker Mayfield than we have with Jared Goff. Get it, Goff in the dome at home. The numbers support. He's very good there, but they're also 6-point favorites. They could do it on the ground, and it forces Baker to have to go into the MVP mode that we've seen, and him just winging it all over the field. He adds some rushing upside as well. So Baker is my favorite quarterback on the slate. I'm surprised he's not higher owned than Jared Goff, so I'm happy to take advantage of that.
Yeah, so Brian was asking a question in chat. Are some of the starting Seattle DBs back? It sounds like they are. It sounds like they're going to play tonight. Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon practiced Saturday. So it sounds like they're going to be a little bit healthier, although you just never know how it flare up. And Woolen's had a bit of an up and down year anyway. So, but Witherspoon's really good. So they'll get some guys back. But yeah, I don't know. You just never know how that stuff is going to play out. And you never know about the Sam Darnold side against Houston. Houston's a solid defense, but boy, Darnold's been good. So
he has.
Anything can happen here. Anything can happen.
And a clear tree of who he's throwing to. I mean, some of these teams, even Tampa, we potentially have 4 or 5 different guys, depending on what happens with Ibuka. Houston, you have a lot of value, but it's answering who is it going to be. Seattle, it's JSN and everybody else. So it makes that stack a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it's should be interesting. The one thing you would say, what is the argument against Mayfield or Goff, especially let's say Goff? You never know when you turn around and hand the ball off to Jahmyr Gibbs and he rushes for a touchdown, or you get that pass interference in the end zone and it's David Montgomery that takes the handoff, and then Goff isn't getting his touchdowns. That's just variance, and it could certainly happen for the Slate's most popular quarterbacks. That'd be the reason, one of the reasons why you would fade if you did. And, it's up in the air. I don't know. Anything could happen. So, but I think these are four good QBs. We'll move on. Let's answer some questions real quick. I see some questions in chat. Get some more in, whatever you got. Derek just popped one up. DK, GPP, anyone, TJ, anyone you would lock in a 3-entry max?
Probably Rachaad White would be the guy that I think I'd be most likely to lock on a 3-entry max, as well as Sam Laporta would be the two that I'd be most comfortable going to. White, we know he's going to get a ton of work, both in the passing game and the run game. Sam Laporta, I think, with just a way higher ceiling than the other tight ends on the slate.
Yeah. And believe me, when I say we will have some Plums play of the night tonight, and we got a bonus plum for you too from the guy who didn't check the schedule. He had to get his plum in, so we'll give you all. You can get 4 plums tonight, man. Believe it or not. Beer, DK GPPs. Which I have an answer for this. I want you to go first, though. Which high-priced wide receiver are you going to be underweight on in DK and GPPs?
Mine is going to be JSN. I know we just talked about him, and he's been great, and he's, basically the new number 1 receiver with Puka out. But his price is getting up there. I think there's a lot of viable receiving options on the high end in this slate. You mentioned the Houston defense being solid, so he would be the one. As much as I hate to say it, it would be JSN tonight. I'm going to have some. It'd be crazy to not have any, but he's the one I'll be underweight on tonight.
For me, and this wasn't like intentionally saying I'm going to go in and fade the highest owned wide receiver on the slate, but I just started building my lineups on both sites, and I just wanted to get certain guys in there, and it just didn't leave me the room for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's something that could end my night real quick. He's that good. But for me, it's Amon-Ra, and it's just a matter of the way the builds went. I would, looking at Detroit, I would rather have Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's one expensive guy. I'm looking at some of the other games. I'd rather have Sam Laporta, and then I'd rather have this guy. Got to have one of those first 2 quarterbacks on the board, I think, for my limited builds. Just didn't have a lot of money left over, so the cut was Amon-Ra. Just didn't make it. So we'll see how that plays out. But for both of you guys, start off with Beer question. Horton or Noel on FanDuel? There's only $100 difference between the two of them. Horton or Noel?
I'm Jalen Noel. I actually like him a lot tonight. No Christian Kirk, so he's going to have a much bigger role. They have some other injuries there. Watson is out as well, so Watson's kind of been that placeholder guy. He's no longer there, so I just think Noel's going to have a role. I have some Horton. I like a little pairing with Horton and Seattle defense for a potential double dip, but Noel's the guy. I think we saw the touchdown last week. Him, Higgins, Hutchinson, I think all are going to play pretty big roles tonight. They're going to be on the field a ton, but to answer that question, it is Noel over Horton for me.
TJ, Horton or Noel?
Noel as well. This is a spot where, on the Houston side, in 3 wide receiver sets, you'll probably still see Hutchinson and Higgins battling against each other for that outside spot, whereas Noel should be the slot guy. And so I like this. I'm with Beer. I like this spot for him quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that one. I
think they're both solid upside plays to save you some money for sure.
I think with the injuries, Noel's probably the guy you should go with, but also get these vision. Torrey Horton is a nice big play touchdown guy, and that's all on FanDuel. You're just looking for that price range, just one 30-yard touchdown from a guy, and you're golden. And I think Horton has more ability to do that than Noel, but we'll see. TJ, favorite MVP in Showdown. It's on FanDuel, and it's the Tampa-Detroit game. If you're on FanDuel and you're in the Showdown, the first game on the board, who would you put at MVP?
I think my top option, just looking at prices, would be Jared Goff. We have Jahmyr Gibbs all the way up almost at $20K. Baker Mayfield 18, Amon-Ra 17.7, whereas Goff's the 4th most expensive of that group. I'd be looking at him, or I'd be looking at Rachaad White, go cheaper all the way down at 14.4. I will say, though, if you're playing like in my single entry, I would pick Goff or Rachaad White. But if I was running like a 20 entry max or even more than that, Egbuka is very cheap on FanDuel. He is cheaper than Rachaad White. He's cheaper than David Montgomery. He's cheaper than Mike Evans. And so I'd be very tempted to run a couple Egbuka MVP lineups if I was playing multiple lineups over there.
Beer, similar question. It's he wants to know Amon-Ra St. Brown at MVP in the FanDuel Showdown. Is that the play?
I mean, there's a lot of plays, so to call it the play, I think I would rather save a little bit of money. Not to say I'm with you on a fade of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but
it's a scary island, man.
Yeah, there is, but there's so many options in that offense they can go to. Yeah. Laporta's in a very good spot here. Jameson Williams, it's only a matter of time before he has a big game. So it may be one of those Amon-Ra's, 7 for 75, and is that enough in the captain? So I think almost anyone in that game is viable. I really like Mike Evans coming back against the secondary. I think he's just going to have his way. So I would prefer him over Amon-Ra in that spot. But you can make the case for 7 different captains in that game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about, and I'm sure you're about to bring this up, but I just kind of have a thought that I want to address on Egbuka's hamstring specifically, because I do think like logic would tell us with a soft tissue injury, if they're back and playing in a regular season game, that probably means they're good. They're 100%. They're not going to be limited, because you don't want to mess around with a soft tissue injury. But it's also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we have seen so many times do this with Mike Evans, bring him back too early, and then he plays a quarter and then is out for the rest of the game and is out for 3 more weeks after that. We've seen it happen with Chris Godwin. We've seen it happen with Mike Evans. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, kind of situation where I messed that up. It's in the reverse. Michael spotted it. Michael spotted it
backwards, but you're all right.
Yeah, Michael spotted that one, but alas, you know what I was getting at. I do worry
where you're going
specifically that like I'm gonna play some Egbuka because he is incredible, but I'm also worried that this could be a situation where he shouldn't be playing yet, but because it's the Bucks, he is.
Yeah. So Alex says he brings up an interesting point. He says the people want to smash Egbuka unders. The thing about player props, and we're going to talk about them later if we have some time, but there's just a tiny bit of built-in value for taking unders that people don't. Everybody wants to go over everything. Unders are like, there's a little value built in because you never know when a guy might be limited in a game playing wise. There's injuries out, and that's when you see the million guys on Twitter. I want a refund because this guy only played 3.5 quarters and he had to leave in the 4th quarter. I want a refund on his over. You can counter that by just playing the unders. And so, yeah, he's in a prime position to have the underplay if you feel comfortable about that. Let's talk about run.
Well, I got a good buddy of mine. He'll be like, "Oh, would you bet today?" And then, under this, under that. And I'll have some overs too. Always his statement: "Life's too short to bet unders." Like, that overs are exciting, but I agree with you, Chop. I think there's a lot of edge in some of these unders.
I'm seeing some wide receiver questions. We'll get to them in just a minute after we run through some running backs real quick, because I really don't think this takes a lot of time. Outside of a couple of guys, I'm not loving any of these running backs, but I'll start off with TJ. Give me your overview on the running back position tonight.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very heavy on the running backs in this first game. Jahmyr Gibbs, Rachaad White, and David Montgomery. A very large portion of my lineups have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery together, and a ton of them have all three of those running backs in those games together. We're looking at a split in basically every single backfield except for Tampa. And so with that being the case, Rachaad White is my number one choice of everybody, because any of these guys could have a spike ceiling game, but he is the only one that is not splitting at least 40% of the work. And so with that being the case, I have him number one, the Detroit guys number two with Gibbs and Montgomery. Obviously, if you can get up there with Jahmyr Gibbs, great. But what I'm kind of mix and matching my lineups, where I'll have Montgomery with a Collins, Montgomery with a JSN, and then I'll swap it to a Jahmyr Gibbs with a Jameson Williams, Cooper Kupp, or Woody Marks, somebody in that range. And then that brings us to these Houston guys and the Seattle guys. And on the Houston side, I mean, oh God, if he runs another long touchdown in at the slowest pace I've ever seen, I'm just going to cry and shut my laptop again. But I'm not playing any Nick Chubb. I have no Nick Chubb. I do have a fair amount of Woody Marks. And then on the Seattle side, I'm basically splitting it. I obviously love Kenneth Walker more because he's more I don't love either of these guys, but I like Walker more than Charbonnet because he's clearly more explosive. But we've seen Charbonnet is the guy that gets the goal line work. So I do have some Zach Charbonnet as well. I'm kind of using Montgomery, Walker, Marks, Charbonnet, and then also throwing in Jameson Williams as just guys to kind of like mix and match in similar lineups throughout my 20 entry max build.
Beer, running backs, who stands out to you?
Yeah, I agree with TJ. I think Rachaad White's number one. It's just such a valuable position. They've seemed to plug and play this one like the old Chopper. Remember the old Denver Broncos? Plug in a running back, they're rushing for 1,000 yards. So
the original Shanahan.
Absolutely. So it was White, then Bucky Irving. Now we're back to Rachaad White. It's just such a valuable role in this offense. So he's number one for me. Gibbs number two. Not as excited about Montgomery as TJ. I certainly get it. I actually have a couple lineups. So with both of them, we've seen this team multiple times where they just trample you on the ground. Now, it's not the easiest matchup. Tampa Bay pretty good against the run, but he would be he would be four for me, actually. I'm putting Woody Marks at three. Expected him. We saw the big game. I believe it was, the week before Baltimore. Then we all, at least I thought, he's starting to take things over, and Nick Chubb's not ready to roll over and die just yet. So I still think Woody Marks is going to be a big part of this backfield. Seattle, good against the run, not good against pass-catching running backs. So I don't know if they're going to find a ton of success on the ground with a guy like Nick Chubb, where, Woody Marks can get it done through the air. One of the best pass-catching backs we've seen in quite some time come out of college. So he's number three for me. The Seattle guys, I'm mixing and matching a little bit. I like Walker better as a talent. If I'm the coach, I'm giving Walker more carries. They tend to not agree. It's always Charbonnet who has the upper hand here, getting the majority of the carries. So it's frustrating, but I think more people will be excited about Kenneth Walker tonight. I'm mixing in a little bit of Charbonnet here into my lineups, a little bit cheaper. Those two I'm not super excited about, but those guys you can certainly mix in, just get a little bit different.
Yeah. Hammer says a Woody or a Chubb. And I'll tell you, I think the consensus here is that Chubb is washed. Respectfully, he's had a great career and he had 2 major knee injuries, but I'm not making light of him, but he's seen his better days. I think everybody can see that Woody Marks is the better player. And I don't think anybody on this panel is touching Nick Chubb tonight. So
I have none. I will say that, not one. So, and he may, maybe a 2-touchdown Nick Chubb night, and you're closing the laptop a little early and going to bed.
It's one of those. I think he's run for 2 touchdowns this year, and the very first one was the defense let him score. Let's be honest, the defense was in a position they let him score. So hopefully we're not in a position where Seattle lets them score down at the end of the game, because that would be weird. But yeah, I think Chubb is not going to be very popular on this panel tonight. All right, let's see here. Real quick, let's run through some receivers, and then I'll get to some more questions. Beer, lots of choices here. You got expensive guys. Break down your favorite from that expensive range, and then your favorite couple from that super cheap range that is a lot of value down there.
One more quick take. The 2 fewest rushing yard teams allowed this season to running backs, Seattle and Houston. So just keep that in the back of your mind. They don't give up a lot on the ground. Wide receivers, my favorite is Mike Evans tonight. Again, this secondary is 4 guys missing. That's a lot of pieces. And sure, they can scheme things. And, I could see them dropping some linebackers, help out in coverage a little bit. But Evans is just gonna feast on the secondary. So he's the guy I'm most excited about among these wide receivers. Ibuka, we already kind of talked about. I'm going to be under the field. I'm going to have some. I'm not fading him. I'm not locking him, but I want to have some exposure there to him. We know the upside that he has. So as far as the next guy for me, it's, mix and match. Amon-Ra's probably next for me. I like Jameson Williams for his upside. Again, we haven't yet seen that game. This was supposed to be, we saw the breakout at the end of last season. We really haven't seen that massive game out of him, but the way you beat this Tampa team is through the air. So I could see him making some big plays. Not as high in JSN as the field, which again sounds crazy. The guy just seems to be bulletproof here, but he's the guy that I'll be a little bit lower on tonight. Nico, I'll have a little bit, trying to work some more Nico in actually here as we're doing the show. But I think there's a lot of intriguing value. The Houston guys. Jalen Noel is my favorite of that group, but Higgins, they drafted him very highly. Him and Hutchinson, like TJ said, probably fighting it out on the outside. But those guys are interesting. Isaac Tesla, I think, is very interesting if you want to go cheap. And he's either a 0 or he's going to find a way to the end zone. So he's another guy that you can kind of mix in, save some money with. And then we mentioned Torrey Horton. So Noel, Horton, Tesla, guys that you can really find some nice savings, some nice upside with. As far as the Tampa guys go, losing a lot of interest in the Johnsons and Shepherds. If I'm picking one out of that group, it's still going to be Tez Johnson. His upside, I think, is much higher than Sterling Shepard, who's more of a PPR type play on DraftKings. So I still think Tez is in play. We don't expect Ibuka to play, a full-time role. I think they'll take some shots with Tez Johnson tonight.
TJ, what's your quick synopsis of the your favorite high-end wide receiver and your favorite value guy?
So I'm going to actually prioritize Jackson Smith and Jigba as my top spend-up choice today. It's not a good matchup. He's probably going to see a lot of Derek Stingley, but we just haven't seen anybody stop JSN yet. He's just been so dominant this year. They're peppering him with targets. And so until we do see somebody slow him down a little bit, I'm going to try and play as much of him as possible. So I'm prioritizing him slightly over Amon-Ra St. Brown today, but both of them above Nico Collins. I'm going to be light on Nico Collins today, which terrifies me, but at the very least, he is my second highest owned wide receiver in best ball this year. And so if he has a big game, at least that'll be good for me over there. I'm mixing and matching Evans and Egbuka. I think Evans is the clear kind of better, safer choice. If I'm playing a single entry, if I'm playing cash, I'm definitely going Evans. But if I'm playing a lot of lineups, I'd want to get overweight on Egbuka too, because this is such a hit or miss spot for him where he would be 50% owned if he wasn't hurt. And so I kind of want to get, if he's only going to be 20% owned with him having been hurt, I want to get in the 35-40 range so I can kind of split the middle a little bit, because he would be, if he was kind of what I'm getting at is if he was chalky coming off an injury, I would be looking to fade him. Because he's looking like he's going to be pretty low owned for a 2-game slate, I want to get to him a little bit. So I am still going to play some Egbuka, but I do prefer Evans over the two of them. In terms of the Seattle receivers outside of JSN, I don't really have much interest in Cooper Kupp. I don't really have much interest in Torrey Horton, but they are both cheap enough that I think you can get there. In terms of the cheapies, I'm going to prioritize Jalen Noel as my top one. Isaac Tesla is my second. Jaden Higgins is my third. But I kind of like Beer said, I do still think Tez Johnson is worth keeping in the pool. I even think Shepard's worth keeping in the pool because we know Baker Mayfield's going to spread it out. And with Mike Evans and Egbuka playing their first games coming back from injury, it's probably a situation where we see these guys rotate in and out a little bit. So I think Shepard and Tez Johnson are both still viable, but fall behind Higgins, Noel, and Tesla for me.
Okay, we have about 8 minutes till this thing locks. So real quick, at tight end, this is going to be super quick. Beer, we know Laporta's the highest projected tight end and the number one guy on the board. All that. Let's remove him. If you remove him, who's your favorite tight end tonight?
It would be Cade Otton. Egbuka coming back put a little bit of a damper on that, but I just see Detroit being very vulnerable in the areas he succeeds in the middle of the field. So he's going to be out there running a ton of routes in the highest scoring game in a team that's potentially playing from behind. If Egbuka is limited at all, that's that much more that can go to Otton. So Cade Otton is my second favorite tight end here tonight.
TJ, same question. Remove Laporta from your pool. Who's your favorite tight end after that?
Probably AJ Barner, just because he's the cheapest one with, I think, Schultz too. But for what it's worth, full disclosure, I have 40 lineups and Sam Laporta's in all 40.
Fair enough. All right. We got 7.5 minutes before we get too far down the road on questions. We got to get the plums in because that's what the people demand. So I'm going to turn it over to, let's go Beer first. Beer, give it to me. You're feeling in the plums, play of the night for the 2-game slate.
So I have two, but one's a higher end play. So I'll just give you, I really like Mike Evans tonight. That won't be the plums. I'm going to go cheap at wide receiver, and I have a great feeling about Jalen Noel tonight. I think his role grows. The slot snap should be there. I think he kind of breaks out here tonight. Big play waiting to happen. Jalen Noel, my plums play here for this doubleheader tonight.
TJ, filling in the plums, play of the night. Who you got?
Favorite plums play of the night will be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean,
nice.
Jalen. I love the Jalen Noel call. I'm gonna, in terms of my cheap guy, I'm gonna say Isaac Tesla, and I'm gonna kind of double down on what Beer was saying and say that in the tournament winning lineup tonight, it's gonna have both Isaac Tesla and Jalen Noel. It's gonna allow you to pay up for Gibbs, pay up for JSN, ASB, whoever you want. I think it's gonna have both of them today. And so, that's going to be mine. I'll go Tesla in addition to Noel.
Yeah, so I definitely love me some Mike Evans. And I see you, Mardon in chat talking about if anybody's going to re-injure his soft tissue, it's Dusty Mike Evans. Don't talk about my island brother like that. Mike Evans from Galveston Island, that's my guy, man. I don't play around with Mike. I like Mike. And I like Mike a lot tonight. I think he does well. But my plums play of the night, I'm going to go a little bit lower in salary for you because Mike might be low-hanging fruit there. Jameson Williams, I faded Amon-Ra. Part of the reason was the salary and all, but also because I kind of like Jameson Williams a little bit more tonight. I know, he's not going to project nowhere near Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think Jameson Williams has a pretty good matchup here stylistically to exploit some of their weaknesses, which are his strengths. So I'm going Jameson Williams here. Oh, and you get a bonus plum. Davis Maddock did not make the show tonight, but he was kind enough in chat to say if he was on the show, his fill it in the plums play tonight would have been Woody Marks. So you guys got that going for you. You get you some Woody Marks in there. And I like that too. I like the pass catching ability for Marks in this matchup. That might be, Beer, you said it earlier, very difficult to run on Seattle. So maybe you got to get that change of pace and check down Willie, man, and check the ball down to Woody a bunch. So I like that one too.
The guy who mailed it in, mailed in my plums play. He beat me to it by sending it digitally. So no, I really like that call. I think this sets up as a good Woody Marks game. They're underdogs. Again, Seattle been very good against the run. So I don't know that Chubb's going to have a good day. Woody could be busy as a receiver. Plus they're down receivers. We keep talking about, Hutchinson, Noel, Higgins, he could play more of a wide receiver role. You know, Chop, USC, he was a beast through the year.
This is when you find out how good a offensive coordinator is. If you look up at the box score at the end of this thing, and Nick Chubb has 24 carries for 2.8 yards per carry, and they didn't get it to Woody Marks, you know this guy's probably a bit of a fraud. And then otherwise, if you see Woody Marks out there on getting 7 or 8 targets tonight, this guy might be worth something. Let's get some rapid fire questions for you real quick. Favorite cheap wide receiver of the 3, Tez, Hutchinson, or Shepard?
I will go with Tez there. Just like the upside.
There you go. TJ, DK, GPP, Bryant or Bates?
No.
Okay. Do you have a replacement?
Find 200 for Elijah Arroyo.
I would say
I guess Harrison Bryant of the 2, but no.
Yeah, you're just a little thin, but you never know what could happen there. Beer, is it okay to have nobody from Seattle?
I love this question. Absolutely. This is one way to just really go overweight on one game. People are going to want to spread it out. They're going to want that exposure to the late game. Any team in the second game, going without any Detroit or Tampa, that's going a little bit too far. I can see fading all of Houston, or I could see fading all of Seattle. And you can do that by stacking up the first game, pick one piece, even a defense out of that game, or a Woody Marks. I have a lot of lineups like that. Absolutely okay.
TJ, Evans or White? DK, GPP, the last piece. Evans or White?
White.
Beer, what wide receiver from Seattle would you play if you're fading Jackson Smith in Jigba?
I have a little bit of Cooper Kupp, a little bit of Horton. I don't feel like I have to. I'm fading JSN. I have to fit in a Seattle piece. It's not that, but I do have a little bit of both of those guys.
TJ, thoughts on Arroyo and Sean Tucker real quick?
No.
No. If you're talking single game, like if this is showdown for a single game, I'm all aboard plays like that. If you're talking a 2-gamer, I don't think I'd get to either of them. I think there are better ways to get different today.
Let's talk props real quick. Beer, more passing yards, Goff or Mayfield?
Mayfield.
TJ, more passing yards, Stroud or Darnold?
Darnold.
Beer, more running yards, Kenneth Walker or Rachaad White?
Rachaad White.
TJ, more receptions, PPR, Amon-Ra or Jackson Smith and Jigba?
JSN.
Beer, over under 63.5 for Mike Evans?
Over.
TJ, Egbuka or Laporta, more receiving yards?
Egbuka.
Putting them to the test there.
And one last one for Beer. More receiving yards tonight, Rachaad White or Woody Marks?
Oh, that's a good one. I am going to go with Rachaad White, but I really like both of those plays.
I'll also throw in really quick. I think Buccaneers cover the spread as underdogs tonight, 6-point spread. I think Seattle covers the spread at 3-point favorites against Houston. I'm big on Seattle tonight. I'm in like a big confidence points pool with a ton of people. If Seattle wins tonight, I take first place on the week and get a nice little bonus. So I'm cheering hard for Seattle tonight.
Bonus time, 5 seconds till kickoff, guys. We appreciate you sticking around for the whole time. We're going to be back on Thursday and run it back again like we do, NFL pre-lock show. Thank you to Beer. Thank you to TJ for pulling double duty. Maybe Matic will make it on time next time. Otherwise, good luck in those GPP guys. We'll see you on Thursday.